Morning, how are you all doing? So I am out in the ancient woodlands this morning. This is probably my favourite place of the whole site, in all honesty. The level of wildlife that you get in here, because it's such an established habitat, is just off the chart compared to anything that's been introduced in later years. Now, some of the things that I'm doing here this morning, looking at a lot of this stuff. So this is laurel. This is an invasive species. It was a hedgerow species. It was introduced sort of like early 19th century as something that lines sort of gardens and posh driveways. It is in our ancient woodlands, and it is in a number of woodlands around sort of Telford and nationally, really. The issue with it is it's a broadleaf. It's an evergreen, so it stays green all year round. It's a cluster rooter, so if a bough grows and touches the floor, it will throw down more roots, which means it spreads across areas really, really effectively. Now, that would be fine if it allowed what's known as an under canopy underneath it. Because the leaves are so thick and so dense, and because it grows so thickly and tightly together, no light will ever get to the floor underneath it. And so if we look at some of the area around here, so just sort of like the general floor, there's not a lot here at the moment because it's winter, but because the light transcends down from sort of like the bigger trees above us, even when they've got their leaves on, there's a little bit of light which hits this floor, there's space for things to grow. This doesn't happen with laurel. So what you get underneath it, and this is only a small tree, so this is just a small example, literally dead soil, no light will ever get through, nothing will ever grow, and that is an issue. Now we do leave some laurel in certain places because it makes a good border, but we have to control it, otherwise it will just spread and it will just grow rapidly and cover complete areas. And so I'm out this morning doing a little bit of control to that, and also some other species which grow in a similar way and have a habit of taking over areas. So this is one of our main annual tasks towards the end of winter. You can see just how dense these brambles grow, very thickly. Now, brambles are a good habitat for certain species. Obviously the nectar provides, well, the flowers provide the nectar for bees, and the fruit is a food source for mice, birds and sort of general species which populate this area. But the thing about brambles, they too are a cluster rooting species, and in certain areas we have, and I'll show you where some of the brambles have been lifted, a really good quantity of our native English bluebells. And you can see here, these are just starting to sprout through. It's very early in the year. We're not used to seeing them this early, really. But what we found year on year is if we just sort of lift back areas of these brambles and just allow spaces where these bluebells can flourish, then they do so in great numbers. And not only is that supporting sort of the insect life, which is waking up from hibernation and needs that nectar source, but it's also helping a species of bluebell which actually is in decline, because our native English bluebell is losing habitat and also losing ground to European or garden centre species which have seeded or got out of gardens somehow and are populating areas where our normal bluebells may traditionally grow. So we're just giving our ones here the best possible chance. We're on a good breeding season, so they'll come back year after year, thicker and stronger, and we can keep these in these woodlands as long as we possibly can. Okay, I mean, let's talk about mental health. Everybody struggles with it. Even the people that don't talk about it have had anxieties, fears, times I've been feeling really stressed. Even myself, who a lot of people perceive to be pretty clued up, I have fears, I have reservations. The pandemic has been a very stressful time, trying to juggle sort of homeschooling and life. And you've got to look at what you do that makes you feel well. Now, one of the things that I struggled with before the pandemic, and I still think about it now, and I think anybody who cares about the environment will be able to relate to this, is sometimes the guilt that you feel for being another human being on a very busy, heavily populated planet We're all told lots of messages about climate change and plastic waste and things that we can't help but contribute to in some way as much as we try and reduce our impact. And I think being out here, connecting with the wildlife the way that I do now, knowing that my input, and the input of it's not just me, the input of the team around me that come and support me with tasks like this, we can see the benefits to wildlife. We are giving something back. And that for me puts me in a much calmer state of mind, knowing that yes, I am a human being, and as a species we need to learn more lessons about reducing our waste and our impact on the planet. But individually we can all do that little bit more, which is going to counter that, and this is my part of that. This is why I'm out here working up a heavy sweat, it's got to be said, in a winter's day. But look at where I am. Look at this setting. You could very easily forget where you are. The birds are singing. It's really beautiful. The sun's shining. And for me, using the little spare time that I have to come out here, connect to places like this, not very far from my house, let's be honest. I mean, you can probably still hear the road in the background, but I hear the wildlife over the road when I'm in here, believe me. What a therapeutic place and what a therapeutic setting, and what good that does for me, but also maybe could do for you as well. Just something to think about.